Hello. You don't know me. What you should know is that I am a weeb. That means that I like anime. I am also a nerd, which means that I like children's card games. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is both a children's card game and an anime, so I thought it was pretty cool as a kid, and I still do. But these days, I don't really play as much Yu-Gi-Oh! I mostly play Hearthstone. Hearthstone doesn't have an anime, but what if it did though? And that's what we're gonna do in these series of videos. This video, at least, we're gonna be doing like a pilot episode of one, and we'll keep going from there. We'll just enjoy it, see how it goes. So first things first, before we can actually get into this, we're just going to lay down some important ground rules. Crucial. There's mainly just one. No Warcraft lore. So because we're making a show, we need to have like, plot, and there's going to be magic card shenanigans like there is in a Yu-Gi-Oh show and everything like that. I'm not going to be utilizing the Warcraft lore, the official ones for it, for three main reasons. The first reason, I already don't have a social life, so I can't afford to waste more time falling into nerd shit that is going to consume my entire life. I got a family to feed, I gotta go to work. I can't let my life be completely consumed by World of Warcraft, and I would if I got too into it. So we're not going to take that risk. You don't give an alcoholic a bottle of whiskey, that kind of vibe. Uh, Second important reason. I'm lazy. I don't feel like it. I think it's fair to be lazy in this case though, because there is a lot of Warcraft lore, and any attempt I have at like trying to get it to work is probably going to be wrong anyway. So I'm never gonna, since I can never do it correctly, we're just not gonna bother to try at all. We're just giving up right ahead of time in true lazy fashion. And the third rule, or the third reason why, is because it's funny. I think it's gonna be funny if in the course of making these things like multiple characters who should not be on the same side are directly like BFFs or something like that. I don't know what Warcraft lore is, but I could make like incredibly stupid mistakes or be incredibly accurate. Either way, it'll be funnier that way. As opposed to if I was trying to make Warcraft lore work and then just like failing, then you just be like, oh, blah, 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 in the comments of correcting me and shit. And it's we don't need to care about that. It doesn't matter. We're not here for the Warcraft lore. We're here for card games. We're here for Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Duelists. And if you know anything about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, there's not often. No, that's a lie. I was gonna say there's not often where the card lore matters as much as like the lore of all the characters and stuff like that. Like Yugi's Millennium Puzzle has absolutely nothing to do with the actual card game. It's just you know two separate things. But it's not technically true. Some of the later arcs do different things with that. But anyway, point is, no Warcraft lore, not happening here. Sorry. But now that's out of the way, let's get to the show itself. We need to set up some characters for how this is going to go. So, in order to have a show about card games, we obviously need to have card games. That's kind of going to be the main focus of this, is focusing on the actual duels, brawls, battles. Let's go with battles. Focusing on the actual like battles. But in order to do that, it's not just about, oh, let's have two characters with the best cards and win as easily as possible. No, we want to have a good back and forth, a good like plot arcs for those duels and like character moments and stuff like that. Like those are really important to that this genre of stuff. So we need to set up like the characters who are going to be involved in this. Now there are 9 classes in Hearthstone, so I have chosen 9 kind of archetypical characters in a card game show that we're just going to map onto them to those classes, and we use that as kind of the basis for how we're going to write the show going forward. We're also, excuse me, going to be selecting an ace monster or an ace minion for every single one of these characters, just like how Yugi has the Dark Magician or Pat has his Blue Eyes. May's got her Harpy Lady. We're going to pick one of those for all these people so that they can utilize it in the show and we know what kind of minion we're trying to build towards for the big climaxes of stuff, because we want them to get their kind of big shining moments with their aces. All right. So with that out of the way, let's start, as these often do, with our protagonist. I've decided to map this onto the Druid class. For one thing, it's got great scaling in terms of like it's been pretty good throughout all of Hearthstone's history. So I think it'll make sense to kind of have it as a protagonist who will always be able to be like kind of all right, kind of able to keep up as we go through multiple arcs. Um, they fight alongside their minions, um, which is important because in like traditional Yu-Gi-Oh, you have the idea of like, well, you can't just like sacrifice your cards. You got to believe in them, and you know they're your friends. And then you just like sacrifice three of them to summon a giant dragon. So while that is cool and hype and everything, um, it's a little bit counterproductive to the message they're going for. So in this one though, we could just say, oh yeah, because in Hearthstone you can use your hero to attack directly, and they lose their own health in addition to their minions. you know, that means that they can fight alongside them and like actually get involved in stuff. So they might be more. Yugi's probably not like the best example of how the personality of this protagonist would be. They'd probably be more like Jaden. Um, and they would just be more like hot-headed, rush into the fight, my friends are my power kind of thing. More traditional shonen protagonists, is what I'm getting at. Also, Druid has rank, which means they got cooler cards sooner in the game. It's always good to have. And also, Druid is just like really adaptable class. Uh, So that'll be like, good for whatever we need to jam ourselves out of. And for his ace monster, I've selected Boulder Fist Ogre. Now, for this like first arc, I'm kind of going through Hearthstone's history as we go through this. Um, so we're just starting with like classic Hearthstone right now. We're not doing any of those fancy newer cards or anything like that. We'll get to those if we get to those, as the series goes on, if whatever. Uh, I'm probably gonna give up long before we get to like Modern Hearthstone, but whatever. We'll see what we can do. Anyway, I think out of all the options for the Druid class, Boulder Fist Ogre, for a protagonist at least, makes sense the most. Druid does have kind of like a boss monster in the form of Centurion, which is a Druid monster. It's like a 9 mana monster. It has, the choose one effects. It's got buffs and all this other stuff. It's a very good card. Would make a lot of sense to be the ace, but Boulder Fist Ogre, much more iconic, and just being big and strong is kind of all we need. We can just have him, do that shit. And Blowfist Ogre is just like too iconic to not be one of the more important cards in this show, so I think it works. Um, but yeah, so with that, we've basically established like what our protagonist is like. The only thing left to do is kind of name him, and we can't use Yugi here himself because that's just copyright infringement. We can't do that. So, I present to you Malgi. Malfurion plus Yugi. I've given him this green beard, and this little Hearthstone swirl in his hair. Uh, he's beautiful. He's perfection. We're just gonna move right along from that. Next we have our rival. So opposite to the protagonist is obviously the rival character. I've chosen to make them the mage. Mage is also another one of Hearthstone's like most iconic classes. Like it's the one that you start with by default when you literally open up the game for the first time. Uh, Plus, it works well with kind of the mentality of opposing our protagonist because Mage literally has decks where it's like if you have 0 minions, they won't get that like immediately, but for a rival character to our protagonist, he's like my cards are my friends and they're my power. He's just like I don't need any cards at all. I don't need nothing. I can do it all myself kind of vibes. So you can have a whole arc about that. They also just have a lot of variety, super versatile. They got secrets, which means, trap cards for big dramatic moments in the show. Uh, and actually, for their ace monster, again, Mage kind of has something in the form of, I forget what his name is, but he basically is a 7 mana minion that gives you access to more fireballs for every spell you cast, which is a good spell, don't get me wrong, or a good minion to have. But I think more dramatically, Deathwing makes just way more sense for this. It's just big, destroy everything kind of thing. It's, also just blue eyes and that kind of vibe. And yeah, if he destroys everything in your hand, everything on the field, you're just left with really big, powerful monster. And just kind of sacrificing everything for that little bit of power feels like very rival coded. Uh, and so I have given our rival here, Kaiba, except I've given him all the important aspects of Jaina. So this is Kaibel. She will be our rival character going forward. And ironically, up next, we have the girl. Now, it's not that, girls can't be important characters. As we just saw, our rival is going to be female. However, in, these kinds of animes, there's always just that one girl who's like not really a part of the team, but she's also there. She's just kind of cheerleading from the sidelines. And, Priest makes the most sense for that class, in my opinion. It's got like the non-violent options of dealing with things where it can mind control and uh, stuff like that. It's got a lot of those mechanics. It's obviously got healing, which is the power of friendship and all that, so that works out really well for it. And also, for later on, if we get to it, it has Shadow Form, which is basically like a corrupted version of it, which, that could be a fun little arc. And for her, her ace monster is going to be Cabal Shadow Priest, which lets her take control of an enemy with 2 or less attack. Um, Again, mage kind of, or priest, I'm sorry, has like some better quote unquote minions for this job, but we're just gonna say fuck it, they don't care. We don't care. They don't matter. Priest Valen or something like that, I think is what it is, which like doubles healing and damage. She'll still be in the deck, but just because she's a girl, it's very important that her ace monster is also a girl in this case, given that that's her entire personality trait. So we're just gonna take again, just like we did with Kybel, we're gonna take Anduin here and give him all the important aspects of Taya and her character. Just her hair. Taya's not even like got enough breasts to really be defined by that like Jaina was. So this is Andrea. She'll be our kind of friend that doesn't do as much except for like once in a while to the protagonist. Love interest, default. And then we gotta focus on our villain. So obviously the villain has to be a warlock, right? Like it's just too villain coded to not do that. It's also, again, actively sacrificing and damaging its own minions is like a big part of its identity as a class. So that goes really well with the whole my friends are my power kind of vibes. It's also just a really good class, especially early on in Hearthstone, because just like drawing extra cards is always good. And very importantly, it has one of the first and only hero cards in Classic Hearthstone called Jiraxis. So that allows for a like last minute big transformation attack. So that'll be really good. That'll probably be like end game though for like more consistent aces. I'm thinking just the giants and like Molten Giant in particular are going to be good for that. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so we now have our villain. We're going to combine this picture of Pegasus here with a little bit of, I forget his name, Gul'dan. That's it, Gul'dan. And the only thing that really, the only difference I can see between these two pictures is one of them has big fang. So I've given him a big fang, and he just kind of looks like Dracula now. So we're going to call him Dracula. We're going to call it good there. Next up, we have our anti-hero character. Obviously, they're going to be the rogue. If I need to explain that, God help you. Their ace monster. We're going to actually use the proper ace monster for this class for once, which is Edwin Van Cleef. It's a really good card. Just becomes stronger for every other card you played during the turn. And very important, uh, because it's a man, even though both of these, are two sexy blonde women, because Edwin is a man, we're going to have to unfortunately make our anti-hero also a man. So I've given my here a mustache. This is now Val Martini. Uh, Nothing further needs to be said here. I think we're all on the same page. Definitely the correct choice. Um, Next up, we have the mentor kind of archetype. He has no pathetic cards in his deck because he's a paladin, and paladin is all about like having like the littler, weaker monsters, their minions, summoning like a bunch of them, buffing them up with different cards. It's also got a lot of healing, so just generally kind of the same vibe as his grandpa's deck, but it's also not like as common to see it. So it gives more mentor vibes, I guess, for that reason. If that made any sense. Like we can't let him get into the actual fight. They're also just both old. Just looking at Uther here, he's just kind of old looking. He probably isn't that old, but he looks pretty old to me. And we're going to use again their ace monster is going to be Tyrion Fordring, which is the ace monster for Paladin in general. Uh, and because they're both old, and Tyrion down here also looks pretty old, we're just going to have this entire character defined by his age. This is Gramps. He's just old. Next up, we have the extra friend, which you may be wondering, extra friend, what happened to the first friend? I don't worry about it. I put these out of order. But anyway, point is, I've put them with the warrior class again. It's just like a really good Hearthstone class. The 2 armor hero power is always useful. Um, it fights with weapons, so again, it's alongside their minions instead of like, from the back. Less think, more stab, always good. It also just, I wanted to give somebody Ragnaros. And we ran out of people, and I know Sulfuris is something that they get as a quest reward later on, so I think it'd be fun. So yeah, Ragnaros is going to be their ace. And because he's uh, defined just by all this. We're going to give him the bald hair and the beard, and this is Guy, who's going to be just one of our protagonist's friends, not as important as our next character, who is going to be the best friend, the Joey Wheeler, the Cyrus, the other characters whose names I can't remember. Oh God, you know who this guy is. You know what the archetype we're going for is. And obviously they're going to have to be a shaman. If you know anything about Joey Wheeler and shaman, I think you'll agree this is 100% the right move. Uh, they're just both based on just sheer a ton of randomness. Even their hero power is random in some ways. So just gambling for the high rolls is very much a Joey Wheeler kind of vibe, and that's a lot of the time what shaman has access to. They also do have, some weapons and some healing, which gives them, the good guy vibes that we've established kind of throughout this. And also because of their hero power, they can have like their little small totems, their 4 like main ones, as like little buddies who like show up and, chat to them. And basically the way that like the Ojamas are for the Chaz in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, those kind of vibes. And while I could, give him a better ace monster probably, we're actually just going to go with Alec here, the Wind Lord. He probably won't actually use the ace monster as often. This is kind of going to be more of like I'm out of anything I could possibly do, so now we're going to have this guy come in and save me. And then when he inevitably fails, we step over it, we overcome it and all that good stuff. Uh, so yeah, so it's probably going to not use this ace monster too often, but he's there in case we need him. And we've now going to give them glasses so that they're smarter because they need to be a little bit smarter. If our protagonist is going to be kind of the hot-headed Russian type, then we need a little dork to kind of balance them out as their foil. And also, we've just given them a bow because fuck it, this one's a girl too. This is Josephine, mainly because I was gonna just be like, all right, Joey, but more serious, like nerdy. He's Joseph, and I was like, that's too close. So then I just added the theme and the bow. So that this is now Josephine. Uh, and finally, we have our cursed friend, who's going to be a hunter because that's all that we've got left. They're basically just going to be an extra friend that we have who is going to, show up, be relevant to some things. They've got some secrets and stuff like that, kind of like Bakura, kind of like Masquerade from the Bakugan series, that kind of stuff. And obviously, as the hunter, their ace monster is going to be King Crush, just big man, big card. Uh, And because we don't really know what Chris Brand is gonna do, how much they're gonna be like even a character really much, we're just gonna put a mask on Bakura here, and we're gonna call him MacGuffin, and we're gonna call it good. Alright, so that takes care of our characters, right? We've got 9 characters that we can use and introduce as we need them. But now we gotta start thinking about the actual, plot and the setting of the show and like how does it work? So because it's Hearthstone and Hearthstone itself kind of takes place in a tavern, I feel like we can do something with that. We can make sure that we involve a tavern in some way as we go forward. Also, just looking at kind of the classic list of cards, we've got like 5 different dragons who are all 9 costs and all have different kind of unique abilities. So that just kind of screams boss battle energy to me. I think it'll work well enough. So we're going to just somehow work in slaying 5 dragons into the plot. I haven't figured that out yet. We're only on the pilot, so we'll get there when we get there. And obviously the goal is to save the tavern. Save it from what? Something. But yeah, so with all that out of the way, we got some basic characters, we got a basic understanding of what we might want to do with the plot going forward. We're just gonna have to focus on this episode for right now, uh, and we got to figure out like what do we want to do with this episode, you know? What are our goals? So obviously we need to introduce our protagonist to like the world of battling Hearthstone. We want to introduce at least two main characters, one being the protagonist. I think the other being Josephine, our best friend character, makes sense as well. We could have done the rival, but I chose to kind of stick with Josephine for right now, mainly because I think we can introduce the rival next episode. You'll see why in a little bit, hopefully. But we also just want to kind of introduce the mechanics of Hearthstone, the like core mechanics that make the game what it is. Um, so that the kids watching at home understand the rules and how everything works. So the main ones that we want to introduce, taunt, that's super important. The mana system, summoning sickness, how you can't just like throw any minion into the field and have it attack immediately, and also just hero powers in general. So all of that we want to kind of make sure it gets at some point highlighted in different ways during this first duel brawl battle thing. All right, so let's go through the kind of like introductory plot before we get into this. Why are they dueling? What is happening here? So meet Malgi. He's supposed to be in school with MacGuffin and Andrea, but he has decided to instead just skip it to fight people. He's just he's hot-headed. He doesn't want to be in school like a loser. He's just fighting some degenerate punks in the alleyway and getting his ass beat. They were like, bullying a child or something, or robbing an old lady, something along those lines. He loses. They kind of kick him. They're like, doozy, because they're basic bitch characters who aren't even relevant to anything. They're just a couple scrubs, stuff like that. The kid's also unimpressed. He's like, you didn't even help me at all. You're lame. Because kids are assholes like that. So even though he did his best and he was trying to do the right thing, he's just, he's down on his luck, as protagonists are wont to do at the start of the show. Uh, he's been literally beaten up and kind of left on the side of the road. He's fine. He'll live, but he's looking a little rough. His phone rings. His dad calls and he's like, "Why are you not in school?" He's like, "Dad, I don't care about school. Like, it's just not something that like I care about. I'm gonna fail anyway. What's even the point?" And he's like, "I don't think that you should be talking like that, son. Like, what the fuck? Get back here because I'm gonna kick your ass for not paying attention in school. Like, you should just be working harder. Get your grades up. That's what's really gonna get you through life, man." Uh, and Magi isn't super impressed with this, but he hates being yelled at by his dad more than he hates school, so he starts heading home, kind of begrudgingly. And on his way home, he hears a scream. He goes, chases the scream down, gets into an alleyway, and there's Josephine, who's on the ground, being seemingly attacked by some scrub, some guy, some evil villainous dude, not even important enough to have a name. Uh, and Malgi's like, "Hey, you can't do that. I'll stop you." Uh, and instead of going to a fist fight again, uh, this random scrub man challenges Malgi to a children's card game, which Malgi finds a little weird. But Josephine seems to think it's a better idea. She's like looking at him like, "You really should accept." Uh, which he's like not understanding why, but also he just got beat up, so he's willing to take this line down. If this guy says he'll leave after he loses, great. If he keeps his word, great. Otherwise, gives him more time to recover if he decides to like go back on his word. And if he loses the card game, it doesn't matter. He can still just beat him up. So he sees no problem with this. So that brings us to our first ever brawl battle duel: Malgi versus some scrub. Again, doesn't even have a name. Completely irrelevant. Just here to get beat up. Anyway, let's jump right into the duel brawl battle. I gotta figure out which name for that is. Let me know in the comments if you guys have a preference for that. Anyway, it's Malgi's turn, and he draws. His opening hand consists of Gurbashi Berserker, River Crocolisk, Wild Growth, and Boulder Fist Ogre. Malgi immediately goes to summon his Boulder Fist Ogre, which fails, because he does not have enough mana, as the Scrub and Josephine explain. He needs like 6 mana to summon it, and he only has 1. So he cannot do anything. He doesn't have any 1 mana cards in his hand. He's very concerned about how the hell he's even going to play anything at that point, but he doesn't have anything else to do. He just ends his turn. Feels a little ripped off. By the way, I should mention all of these like cards. He just got like a deck thrown at him basically. So he's like, or he got a deck thrown at him by Josephine, not by the scrub. So he at least somewhat trusts this deck, but he's also a little bit suspicious. But yeah, he's like, you gave me the shittiest deck ever. She's like, it'll work itself out. Anyway, with Malgi ending his turn, it's now the scrub's turn. Because he went second, he gets 1 extra card as well as the coin. He draws another card on top of that, so he gets 6 cards in his opening hand, counting the coin. Not counting it, he's got 5, which are Dread Infernal, Void Terror, Leper Gnome, Stone Tusk Boar, and Elven Archer. He's going to start by summoning his Stone Tusk Boar directly to the field and attacking Malgi directly for 1 damage, the first damage of the brawl. Which is immediately a bit of a red flag because Malgi feels like he actually just got punched in the gut. Like the card manifested into the world, and now it's just there, and it actively hurting him. So he's a little freaked out by that, but Scrubman doesn't care. He's just laughing at him like, "Oh, this is gonna be even easier than I thought. You don't even know what you're doing. I thought you were, uh, someone who knew what the fuck this shit was, but no, you're just some random guy from around here. So I can destroy you. This is gonna be easy." Which just annoys Malgi. But he doesn't run away. He doesn't flee in terror at the sudden magic in front of him. He's like, all right, fine, bet. And now it is going to be Malgi's turn, and he draws Dark Scale Healer. He notices that his mana increases from 1 to 2. Just being like confirms that yes, he'll get 1 more mana at the start of all of his turns, up to 10. Which Malgi thinks is sick, loves it. So now, with his 2 mana, he's going to summon River Crocolisk to the field. He's then going to command his River Crocolisk to attack the scrub directly, which is also going to fail because the River Crocolisk he notices is completely asleep. And this is where he learns about kind of summoning sickness and how, unless a minion has charge, it's going to stay asleep when you first summon it because it needs some time to prepare. So Nagi's a little disappointed by that, but he gets it. That's just how the game works. With no further plays, he's going to end his turn. It's the scrub's turn. Oh, it's the scrub's turn, and he draws Voidwalker, immediately summoning it to the field. That's this 1 mana 3 defense card. And then he is going to also summon from his hand his Elven Archer, which has a battlecry ability. When it enters the field, its special ability allows it to deal 1 damage directly to any target. He chooses Malgi himself, and then has his Stone Tusk Boar attack Malgi again, bring him down to 27 health. It's Malgi's turn, and he draws Innervate. First, he attacks with his River Crocolisk, hoping to destroy Stone Tusk Boar. However, the attack is intercepted by Voidwalker, and Malgi learns that this is because Voidwalker has an ability called Taunt, which means that until Voidwalker is destroyed, Malgi cannot do anything to get through it. With no further plays, because he doesn't know about his hero power, he technically could use that to kind of get through Voidwalker right here, but he's not going to, because he doesn't know about it yet. He's going to instead just activate the Wild Growth in his hand, giving him an extra empty mana crystal. Doesn't do anything for him yet, but it means he's up to 4 mana for his maximum, and he'll be at 5 mana in his next turn. With no further plays, he's going to end his turn right there. It's the Scrub's turn, and he draws Wolf Rider. So first thing he's going to do is going to command all 3 of his minions to attack Malgi directly. Each for just 1 damage, no huge deal there. However, he is then, from his hand, going to summon Void Terror, which activates its special ability once it enters the field. It destroys 2 minions next to it, which are going to be Stone Tusk Boar and Elven Archer, and gains stats equal to what theirs were. So, because he destroyed 2 1/1s, he's going to gain 2 attack and 2 health, bringing him to a 5/5. Malgi is, horrified by the way that these things are reacting, because, well, cards are cards. Um, these are like basically people he's noticing. Like the Elven Archer is literally screaming in terror. We kind of have to like look away to not terrify the kids, but it's messed up. Malio's already traumatized. Uh, but he's still can't run away because he's still got Josephine to defend, and also his pride won't let him quit. So he soldiers on. He's going to draw for his turn. He draws the card Bite, and with that, he's just going to summon Gurubashi Berserker from his hand for all 5 of his mana. Uh, Obviously, Gurubashi Berserker cannot attack this turn. However, he will use his River Crocolisk to attack and destroy Voidwalker. So now it's just Void Terror on the other side of the field. And with no further plays, Mongi's going to end his turn right there. It's the Scrub's turn, and it draws Arcane Golem. Uh, with that, he's now going to use all 4 of his mana to summon 1, the Leopard Gnome, and 2, Wolf Rider from his hand. Wolf Rider has charge, so he's going to have his Wolf Rider and Void Terror directly attack Moggy's face. Uh, Moggy is down already to 16 HP. Uh, Looking a little rough, but still hanging in there. Uh, it's Moggy's turn, and he needs to get rid of that Void Terror. And he draws exactly the card he needs to do that. Wrath. He's going to activate it and activate its ability Solar Wrath, which allows him to deal 3 damage to any minion he chooses. He, of course, chooses the Void Terror, bring it down to 2 HP. And then he orders Gurubashi Berserker to attack Void Terror, destroying it, and bringing Gurubashi Berserker down to only 2 health. However, because Gurubashi Berserker took damage, its special ability activates, giving it +3 attack, bringing it to a 5/2 in total. After doing all of that, Magi is going to activate another card in his hand, Innervate, giving him an extra 2 mana crystals for this turn, meaning he's back up to a full 6 mana, and he's going to use all 6 of them to summon his Boulder Fist Ogre to the field. Josephine, who's watching all this, reminds him that, hey, you still have a River Crocolisk to attack with. Don't forget about that. And he goes, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And he attacks directly with River Crocolisk. He doesn't want to attack any of the other 2 minions, which Josephine calls him out on, because he doesn't want River Crocolisk to die, because he's feeling compassion for these things. And Josephine's a little impressed by that. She's like, oh, I mean, that is true. Because Josephine does respect the cards, it seems, but she was still like, this is a strategically bad idea to leave more minions on the board to attack you when you're at such low health. Like, you should just trade into like Wolf Rider or something. But he's not going to do that. He wants to protect his crocodile no matter what. Now he wants his minions to live. So that's what he's going to try and do. Best he can. Anyway, it's now the Scrub's turn. And he draws Sun Fury Protector. First thing he's going to do is going to have his Wolf Rider and his Leopard Gnome attack Malgi directly. And then, from his hand, he's going to activate the coin, giving him an extra mana to work with, bringing him up to 6 total. He is then, using that 6 mana, going to summon his Dread Infernal to the field. Once it gets summoned to the field, its special ability activates, dealing 1 damage to everything on the field. It just engulfs the entire field in a giant ring of fire that burns everybody a little bit, destroying 3 things: Wolf Rider, Leopard Gnome, and River Crocolisk. Malgi is upset that River Crocolisk is dead, and also just annoyed at how casually this guy is just murdering his own guys. Leopard Gnome has kind of managed to barely survive a little bit, but only for flavor. It's just crawling on the ground, and he's like, "You're supposed to be dead. Get out of here. I need your ability to activate." So he stomps on him. Scrub does. Just stomps on his own minion, causing its Death Rattle ability to activate, dealing 2 more damage to Malgi's face. And you're further infuriating Malgi. Boulder Fist Ogre looks at the, concerned and sobbing Malgi and calls him a little bitch, basically. He should have protected himself better. River Crocolisk is now dead, and he died accomplishing nothing. Boulder Gurubashi Berserker kind of chimes in as well, yeah, we are warriors here. We don't care if we live or die. We just don't want to die in vain. And you caused River Crocodile over here to die in vain. So how dare you? That's the real issue here. We don't mind dying. We'll come back. You're the commander, and you should have been prioritizing yourself. You're just being a coward by not, you know, attacking and using your minions properly. Malgi, uh, annoyed and kind of nothing to say. He's like aware that strategically that might not have been the best idea that he had. He's going to go on to his next turn and draw a bite, and then he's going to summon to the field his Cold Scale Healer. Still trying to keep all of his minions alive, obviously. Cold Scale Heal, yeah, Cold Scale Healer's special ability activates, healing all of its allies for 2 health, bringing Gurabashi up to an 8-3, Malgi up to 10 HP, and bring Boulder Fist Ogre all the way back up to full health. Boulder Fist Ogre, he is then going to command to destroy Dread Infernal, leaving him with only 1 HP, but still alive. And then he is going to order his Gurabashi Berserker to attack as well, bringing him down to 20 HP. Scrub basically says like, "Oh, you're a little bitch." Yeah, no, that's. I was trying to think of some like more clever taunts or something. Point is, he's taunting him. Malgi's still kind of annoyed about being called a coward, so he's just going to subconsciously activate his hero power at this point with his remaining 2 mana. Which turns him into kind of a weird little druid thing. It's called Shapeshift in game, so I assume he kind of like gets some claws or some scales on him and stuff, and he just charges forward directly, just punching this man in the face during in the middle of this card game. Um, which he finds very satisfying, but he realizes that according to just the rules of the game, he's not allowed to do that more than once, and he's only allowed to do it because he activated an ability for it. But he's into it. He was like, that felt good. I liked that. Uh, and it just like pisses the scrub off even more. He's just like, whatever, you did 1 extra damage. Whoop-de freaking do. Like, who cares? Uh, so, with that in mind, it's the scrub's turn, and he draws Power Overwhelming. He's then going to summon his Arcane Golem to the field, whose special ability activates, giving Malgi an empty mana crystal for his next turn. And then the scrub is going to use his uh, spell card, Power Overwhelming, to supercharge his Arcane Golem. Arcane Golem is now a 9/6 with a lot of attack. It's going to directly again attack Malgi's face, bringing him down to only 2 HP. Scrub for a second because he doesn't, know about the armor that Malgi got from his hero power. He's just gonna sit there a little confused, like shouldn't he be at 1 HP? Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's dead. Who cares? But he has that little internal monologue of shouldn't he be a little lower? Whatever. To kind of foreshadow that armor exists. Uh, and yeah, at this point, he's just going to say like, yeah, you might have a lot of monsters, but you can't, or minions, but you can't do anything with them because I will finish my turn by summoning Sun Fury Protector, which gives taunt to nearby minions. So Arcane Golem now has taunt. There is now a 9/6 in the way. Uh, the Arcane Golem is suffering because the effective power overwhelming is going to cause it to self-destruct at the end of this turn, uh, or at the start of the next turn. So he's a little concerned. But he's not concerned because he just figures, I'll just attack directly. You can't get over this thing well. You're going to be at 2 HP, and I'm just going to kick your ass at the end of this. Like, who cares? I've got this in the bag at this point. I'm just kind of stalling you for a little bit. I just need 1 more turn, basically. It's what he thinks. Uh, so Boulder Fist Ogre at the end of its Grub's turn is going to turn to Malgi and basically say, look, just let me kill the Arcane Golem. I'll die. The Golem will die. You can have somebody kill the Sun Fury Protector, you'll be alive. You'll have a couple of minions on your side of the field, and you can win this. You can just keep attacking him after that. Like, just let me die and fight this man, and because I just want to fight shit. I'm just an ogre man. I, you know, he's saying it less elegantly because ogre, but that's basically what he's saying. Is just like, let me fucking do this shit. And Malgi tells him, shut up. He's doing the whole dramatic anime protagonist thing where he's looking down, his eyes are kind of obscured by his hair, and he's like, which one of us is the boss here, you know? Uh, I'm in charge. You listen to me. I don't want you dead. You're going to live then. All right, is that clear? Besides, letting you die isn't the most strategically viable move because I need you alive. I need you alive. Only with all of our powers combined can we do 19 damage to this man. We just got to figure out a way to get past Arcane Golem, and then we could destroy it in one turn. The ogre and Josephine are both kind of impressed by this. They're like, okay, he's not a coward. He just cares. So they're pretty impressed. Nagi draws, and he's very happy with the card he got. The card he drew is a card called Claw. For 1 mana, he is able to basically give himself +2 attack and +2 armor. He's also going to activate both copies of Bite from his hand, bring into a total of 10 attack and 10 armor, which is plenty to destroy and attack Arcane Golem in one hit. He's going to just basically run up, fully transformed into some horrifying beast monstrosity, charge in there, punch the golem. Golem's going to explode because it's all overcharged with more power than it can handle. Blasts Malgi back. There's smoke all over the place. Big explosion happened. Sun Fury Protector is looking on in horror as just you see two eyes dramatically appear from the fog. And Cold Scale Oracle is just going to grab the Sun Fury Protector as it tries to store it away by the neck, crush it in its hand. It gets a little bit hurt, down to like 4-3, but it doesn't matter. Berserker and the Ogre are both going to directly attack the Scrub, who's now a little worried, a little bit more worried, but he's thinking he's fine. He's a little bit more worried, but he's still like, all right, I still have this. I can handle this. Magi, you could have just won there. Like if you just had your ogre attack instead, you could have attacked me directly, and then you could have done more damage to me, and then I'd be in way worse shape. Like you let this ogre live for what? Like you could have just ended this right here, right now. But you didn't. Uh, and now I'm going to end you. Josephine, however, points out that no, Magi got exactly what he needed. His soul of the leader, his heart of the cards, whatever. Point is, because he chooses to lead by, charging in alongside his friends instead of from the back, his cards reacted to that and gave him the tools he needed to get. It wasn't just like blind luck that he got that, it's because of the bond he has with his cards already. And the scrub, he just kind of is like, shut up, who cares? And he draws the card, and he just laughs. And he goes, you know, big evil laugh from like mentally breaking down. He's like, I get it. All right, fine. That's the leader he wants to be. Well, I'm the kind of leader who doesn't take shit from anybody. I tell people what to do. They listen to me because I force them to. And he plays the card that he drew for his final turn, which is Sense Demons, which allows him to draw 2 demons to his hand. He's like, I don't need my cards to come to me. Like, it doesn't matter that I didn't draw it straight away. If they don't want to come, I'll force them to come. Like, yeah, I could have just drawn a minion straight out, but I don't need to because I have Sense Demons. So he's going to add 2 demons from his deck to his hand. They're going to be Pitlord and Doomguard. And then he is going to attempt to summon Doomguard to the field, which has charge and 5 attack, attempting to finish off Malgi and go for game. However, he cannot do that because he only has 4 mana and Doomguard costs 5. Uh, Malgi and Josephine both take great pleasure in pointing out that if he had just drawn Doomguard straight away, he wouldn't have had this problem. He'd be fine. But because he had to actively sense demons to get it out there, he can't summon it now, and he's fucked. He cannot do this at all. And so he just starts having, his classic villain mental breakdown. He's just trying to force it to go on there anyway. He's like, it doesn't matter. It's 4, I have 5, or it's 5, I have 4. We can make this work. I'll pay for you later, or something like that. He's doing his classic villain panic shit. And he just eventually demands that Pit Lord, one of his cards, gets summoned to the field. It's the only thing he has left to play. that he can afford, and he's just like, "You go attack them." And Pit Lord's special ability, for those who don't know, is it deals 5 damage to its user. So we're just going to kind of flavor that as Pit Lord turns around, that this guy is trying to tell him what to do, and just absolutely punches the shit out of him. Whatever Pit Lords do to punish people, that's happening. Bad things are happening. We can't show it on screen. It's not Y7, TV Y7. Uh, that reduces him down to his last 0 HP, meaning that Moggy wins the duel. And that's going to be pretty much it for the first episode. We just got to kind of wrap it up. Uh, Josephine, having seen all that shit, she's super fucking hyped. She's, jumping up and down. She's like, fuck yeah, wow. She's not swearing, obviously, because it's a children's show. But she's super excited. She's ready to, you know, she's like hugging him. And like, you did it, you really did it. Oh my God, that was amazing. You're like a natural at this game. And then Malgi passes out. Because he already was like kind of having some rough times from the fight before all this started. And then he like almost went down to 1 HP like twice. He's been through kind of a lot, so he's kind of just passes out from the exhaustion at that point. Uh, Shit hurts. And so we're just kind of gonna end the episode, our first episode, there, the end. So that's gonna be pretty much all for this episode, today. Um, yeah, I think it went pretty well. I wish that I could have had, instead of Malgi surviving with 2 HP, because of their armor, I would have preferred if they were at, 1, and then we could have maybe done, it would have been more dramatic if he only survived because he fought, uh, and the armor gave him like just enough to survive, barely. But I couldn't make it work with the cards I had. So, it is what it is. It still worked out pretty well, I think. Overall, pretty happy with how this turned out. But let me know what you guys think. If you liked it, if you thought there were too many misplays or anything like that. I was trying my best to make sure there weren't any, but I'm not like an ace at Hearthstone. I don't know how to play this game super great. So maybe there were some, especially toward the end there. Um, and yeah, let me know if you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for like future uh, battles or anything like that, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'll be doing more of this probably uh, when I have time. I don't get paid for this, I don't think, unless this video does way better than I expected to. But yeah, that is going to be all. Hope you enjoyed.